Hi there. Hi there, my wonderful women leaders. I'm coming at you live with an inspiration that I've been kind of mulling over, all about emotional intelligence and how it really works for us, not just at work, but in all of our relationships. And I'm really fired up, and I want to share with you a couple of things about what strikes me as so important about this one essential skill that we all have, and we all have unlimited aptitude to improve. So, emotional intelligence. How do you know when it's there, and how do you know when it's not? I'll start off by talking about when there is low emotional intelligence in your environment, whether it's your work environment, the team that you work with, in the home, or in whatever realm that you find yourself. Here are some hallmarks of low emotional intelligence. For me, it's about energy that is kind of at each other. There is an offense and a defense. There is pushing, and then there's defending, pushing back. There is conflicting energy of I and you. And what that leads to is poor flow. Like if we use a river as a metaphor, when a river is flowing fast and free, it's effective, right? If you want to think about a great river, a river moves, a river has energy and channel. If we're talking about a social system like a river that is missing that flow, there are rocks, there are obstacles, there are splits, there is back channeling where the water moves almost in the reverse direction. There's eddying. And for those of us who have ever run rivers or been in like a river guide, it's dangerous. That kind of river is dangerous. And a work environment like that is also dangerous. It can be toxic. When you have that kind of conflicting energy, there can be blame and shame and gossip and ineffective communication to the point that there is no trust. What is it like when there's high emotional intelligence in your environment? It is openness. It is an inclusion of everybody that's there. It's an interest and a willingness to understand and be open to all perspectives, not being defensive and not being guarded and not being sort of territorial and worried about your whether you're right or whether someone else is wrong or whether you get the credit or whether or not someone has taken something that belongs to you, like prestige or a position. There is a lack of concern of any of those things because that's not the dominant emotion that's there. It's a regard for everyone. It's more sharing. It's an openness of including all opinions. And as I talk about that, I don't want it to sound like it's wishy-washy or wimpy. That an emotionally intelligent leader is not one that is soft and bendable and wants to lead by consensus and wants to hear everyone's opinion before they decide. That's not necessarily true. But it is a leader who feels unthreatened enough in their own position to be open to hearing conflicting points of view, to hear what other people have to say, to not be defensive and not have to be right, and to be okay with dissent, with conflicting opinion, with mistakes, whether they're other mistakes or their own. Leaders who can do this are truly establishing an emotional, intelligent environment that comes from an unthreatened place. It comes from a place of being okay enough with what we believe, that other people can have a totally contrary opinion and it's not going to impact us directly. So what I like to say about emotional intelligence, what is so exciting about this one type of intelligence, is maybe you've heard about the theory of multiple intelligences, that we're all born with a capacity for a variety of ways of being, that at birth we might have a proclivity or a natural talent for. Now, some of these things are very difficult to earn through effort. I might not have amazing athletic intelligence. Like, no matter how hard I practice at tennis, I will never be the next Serena Williams. And no matter how much I study or work at logic or linguistics or law, I'll never be as brilliant as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's not something I'm born with that I can hone through effort. The thing about emotional intelligence that I find so exciting and fascinating and really fires me up is that it, of all the intelligences, is the most adjustable, the most improvable, and the most adaptable of all of the skills that we're born with. It means that we actually can leverage a much higher plane through learning, through training, through effort, through practice. We can level ourselves up. And I'm not talking about hacking. I'm not talking about like trickstering our ways of being with each other. I'm talking about truly becoming more emotionally intelligent, more emotionally aware, more self-managed, more capable of understanding what's happening with us, inside of us, and then regulating how we relate with each other so that our interactions are more on point and the way that we want to lead, an elevated way. So this is really good news that we can improve it. And it's also really good news that one person can improve so much their own emotional awareness, their own social awareness of a group, that they can have a positive impact on the dynamic that might exist, that might not be, like, let's say you don't feel like you have ultimate authority. If you're not the leader of your organization, if you're not the boss, how do you, through emotional intelligence, affect change? The answer is you actually have unlimited capacity to impact those around you just by diving in and providing the more aware, enlightened, thoughtful, curious, listening side of yourself, and it changes the demographics around you. It changes the way other people react. It can make you a force, even if you're not the chief, even if you're not the boss. So if you're curious to learn more, I've started doing these trainings. In fact, some of you that are watching have participated in these trainings, and they've been super well received because you realize how much empowering agency you have over a dynamic, starting with your own self. And I'm happy to share some of these trainings. If you're curious, you can message me below. I'll put a link in to call. But I think what my aspiration is to become the best boss that someone has ever had, a really highly regarded leader, a loved teammate, a cherished friend, and a really good partner. And emotional intelligence will let me do all of those things. So if you're curious to hear about more, reach out. That's my lesson or my teaser for what emotional intelligence can do for you.